name's Blair Seymour. I am the Director of People, sending you all those emails saying get your onboarding done so you can get your pass. So make sure you get that stuff done. I'm psyched that you're here today. This is a seminar or a talk on restorative justice. We did this last year as well, and I felt it was really beneficial when you're going through the season with kids of multiple age groups and multiple levels. Restorative justice is a term that probably was coined more than 30 or so years ago, and in the criminal justice system, and it's been adapted to schools and social work and a bunch of different places. And we're lucky to have Allison Byen here tonight. She is a licensed school counselor at Soda Creek, and she has been working with restorative practices for about 6 years. She's got 2 kids in the club, one skier, one snowboarder, and she also is a mountain bike coach in the summertime, so she's very connected to the club. And this is an interactive session, so you guys will be getting up and moving around, so make sure you've taken a number and a pamphlet at the beginning, and I'll turn it over to Allison.
Thank you. Thanks for coming and being a part of this. After 6 years of doing it, I've seen how powerful and how productive it is between students and coaches, students and teachers. So that's why I'm passionate about it. So restorative practices are based on these 4 R's: relationship, respect, responsibility, and repair. And just a disclaimer, I'm not professionally trained as a restorative practices facilitator. I've been trained by the school district to do this as a school counselor, and I do it almost daily. And then I've seen what a positive effect it has in our community. Sometimes we even have to do it among the staff. So we sit, there's conflict that keeps happening, and then we sit everyone down and just kind of ask those 4 questions, that first page, and it really just lets people understand each other, where they're coming from. So I want you to answer these 2 questions with your neighbor. What do you already know about restorative practices? And did you try any connection circles or restorative practices last season, if you did this training with me last fall? So talk to your neighbor, what do you know? Do you have any success stories where you had a brief connection circle or a problem-solving circle, or a restorative conversation where there's some harm done between 2 peers? Yeah, Patty?
Sasha and I were just talking about this. I don't think we really focused on this, but it just came out naturally, which was pretty cool. We had the athletes roughhouse last season after a full season of telling them not to, and a snowboard went through a kid's mouth and he needed stitches, and it was a lot of blood, so it was really scary, especially for elementary school age. And the kid who sent the snowboard through the other kid's mouth felt terrible and started calling himself an idiot and like hitting himself in like the forehead and like crying, and it was terrifying. But we definitely, like, once the adrenaline wore off, we were all inside like making a poster for the kid who got hurt. And then one of the other kids, because the kid who did it went home early because he was just very sad and upset.
Yeah, totally.
So then another kid was like, can we also make a poster for the kid who sent the snowboard through the other kid's face? And so we definitely touched on a lot of this, and like nobody was in trouble because
Yeah,
it just,
it's an
but they were all like scared of being in trouble, and instead we kind of just revisited a lot of these questions, you know, who was affected or harmed by this. Obviously not just the kid who needed stitches, but the kid who felt so terribly about his actions.
Right.
How could we move forward and make things right?
Yeah, and I bet that made him feel so good to have the group accept him back into the group and feel welcome, like, we know you made a mistake, but it's okay, we all make mistakes, you didn't mean to hurt him.
Right,
So it really bonded the group, the
Yeah.
team after that.
definitely.
Awesome. And it made the kid feel like they're not ostracized, people aren't mad at him. It made him feel like, okay, I'm back, they forgave me, and I'm gonna do my best. After that, did they stop roughhousing us?
It stuck with them.
Yeah.
It's still this season.
When we say,
Yeah.
do you remember what happened last year? They remember right away.
Yeah. You do have a group of boys,
Yes.
so, yeah. Any other success stories? Yeah, Sasha.
I mean, I was kind of mentioning it earlier, but this summer with cycling, I had a really difficult group that was teenage boys, and between fighting and having to separate them, and it was just constantly something happening with somebody feeling wronged. And I remember seeking you out and talking to you a little bit about it, and the idea, which was just going back here and really asking these questions of like, well, what happened? How did that make you feel? You know, and really letting those kids, and we passed a marker around the circle at gym that day.
Piece. I love
Yep, and whoever had the marker got to talk, and everybody got to listen, you know, and that was something, so it helped, and we were able, after we split the group, we were able to bring them back together a little bit faster, you know, to kind of get this all sort of going through this by saying, you know, hey, these are the steps, and so we were able to bring them back together as a group.
Yeah.
You know, but it definitely, we had to take a break, come over here, do these sorts of things.
And it showed them that this is important, this is a big deal, we're gonna stop and have a circle about it
Yeah.
and talk about it.
Yeah, so.
Totally. Thanks for sharing. So raise your hand if you love skiing. Hands down. Raise your hand if you love snowboarding. That's me. Hands down. And that's what we want to share with these kids, is we want to share our love for that sport to them. And sometimes things get in the way, like conflict between peers, maybe a student is not being respectful to you, not listening. And so these are a beautiful way to get those things out of the way so that we can actually enjoy the sport. So restorative practices are a mindset that fosters an environment of accountability, connection, repair, belonging, and value. It's basically just seeing each other on a human level and taking the time to talk it out. And I know that sometimes you're like, I don't have time for that. Some of these just takes 3 to 5 minutes. And why does Winter Sports Club think this training is valuable? Because of our core values: teamwork, integrity, fun, and achievement. So the history behind it, it started with the indigenous tribes. When someone wronged or made a huge mistake in the community, instead of ostracizing them, they talked about it, and they earned their way back into the community, asking for forgiveness and repair the wrongdoing that they did. And so it was first implemented in the criminal justice system in the 1970s, and then the Australian school district in the 90s, and then it reached the US schools. So the purpose, it's focused on repair and reconciliation rather than punishing the person that did the harm or hurt someone's feelings or made a mistake. It usually, because when you just punish them, what does that cause? It causes anger, shame, ostracism. I can't say that word, ostracism, and the person being punished. I mean, think about your own self. Like if you borrowed your friend's mountain bike and you accidentally broke their derailleur. That happened to me. And I don't think I would, do well if the friend was like, oh my gosh, you ruined this. We're not friends anymore. You can never borrow my stuff. I'm so disappointed in you. What is that going to do? That's just going to make our friendship dissolve and nothing is solved there. But if I say like, yeah, I broke it and I'm going to pay for it and repair it and I'm really sorry, then that repairs the relationship and we can move past it. She probably won't let me borrow her bike again. So why use restorative practices? And if you're a parent, this helps a lot with kids too. So traditional discipline, it focuses on the offender, like what did you do wrong? And restorative gives the victim a voice, like, I feel really sad that you just stopped eating lunch with me. I don't understand. What did I do wrong? What's happening? Response to past event is traditional discipline, like you did this is your punishment. Restorative identifies the motivation and the impact of the actions. Like everyone can say why I did this, I shouldn't have done this, but this is why I did it. It doesn't teach alternative behaviors to just give them a punishment, but restorative teaches alternative behaviors because the fourth question is, how are we going to solve this? How are we going to fix this? And everyone gets a say in it. Traditional discipline is focused on punishment, and restorative repairs the damage or the harm done. And traditional discipline can shift the offender into a victim role. Like everyone's like, you did it. You busted their lip with the snowboard. And restorative builds empathy. So for example, there was a first grader with sticky fingers. They would take things from other kids' backpacks and cubbies. So this kiddo took, I think, $20 from a girl's backpack for the book fair. But we found out, he gave it back. We found out that the class was really upset with him. They're like, I don't know if I want to bring him back in this classroom. I don't trust him. So he was gone the next day, thank goodness. And we had a problem-solving circle or connection circle. And we went around and shared, what mistakes have you made? So everyone shared a mistake that they had made. And then the next question was, what happened and how did that make you feel? So some people say, well, I broke my sister's toy and she forgave me, or I fixed the toy. And to show them, we can be restorative and we're not going to ostracize this kiddo that made a mistake. We've all made mistakes, and hopefully he learns from it and we're going to accept him back into the community. So the two that I'm going to go over with you and you guys get to practice tonight. The first one is restorative conversations. And this is to solve a conflict or a harm that's been done. Usually it's between two people. It could be 3 or 4. And the purpose is to repair the relationship. And the benefit allows every student to be heard and understand in a safe environment the goal of restoration. And then the second one is connection circles or problem-solving circles, and that can be a bigger group. And kind of like what Sasha did was, the problem was that, what would you say the problem was? Between?
So many. To isolate it just to one thing, it was respect of other people's time.
Okay, got it. So stop, goofing off and wasting our time. Hearing how it affected each person was good for the group to help solve that problem. And connecting can be good for when you guys first start meeting. It can be team building. What do you want out of this experience? What do you need from your teammates? What do you need from me as a coach? and every person has the chance to answer. And the benefit is it allows students to feel safe, connected, validated, and learn from each other. Sometimes in a group, I don't know the right answer. It takes me a while to figure it out. But when I hear what other people say, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. But a lot of classrooms in our school district start every morning, like with a connection circle. So it makes kids feel like I matter, what I have to say, people care about, I feel connected to this group. And then it helps just set up a positive time for the rest of the day. So how we do restorative conversations, you explain the purpose, like the purpose is to repair the harm that's been done, and I'll give you an example in just a second. But first you want to make sure everyone is okay with having the conversation. So like there was a girl that slapped another girl at recess because she said something about your mama. And so I had to ask each girl separately, are you ready to have this conversation? Do you feel okay? Do you feel safe? And one of the girls was like, can we have it tomorrow? I was like, sure, no problem. Maybe she just needs some time. Maybe she didn't want to be face-to-face with the girl that just slapped her. Possible solutions, and like when you get to the last question, what are solutions? A lot of kids want to do apologies, whether it's verbal or written, or a written agreement, like I'm not going to do this anymore. I have to do a lot of friendship agreements, like we're not going to talk behind each other's back, stuff like that. Or a restorative action, like a kid was in the back of my classroom breaking pencils. And so I talked to him afterwards, instead of saying, I can't believe you did that, go to the principal's office. I was like, how can you fix this mistake that you just made? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, you could sharpen the pencils to replace the ones that you broke. He's like, okay. But that connected us better than just sending them to the principal's office. So yeah, make sure all individuals are ready first. Make sure everyone's calm. If anyone's angry, crying, or clearly upset, their amygdala, their feelings brain is not working. Their thinking brain is not going to work. So they're not going to be able to solve this problem. So you can tell them, like, we'll talk about this next time if there was a fight, which has happened to me in youth mountain biking. If there's a fight, you're going to say, we're going to meet next time with your parents, very briefly before practice. And I email parents ahead of time to let them know. Make sure everyone is comfortable with having the conversation and feels emotionally safe. And time or reflection, like if it was a fight, maybe, and in that packet, there's a reflection sheet for kids to fill out beforehand so they know what they're going to say when you have this conversation. So we're going to demonstrate one. And Sasha and Maddie, they were playing flag football at recess. And Maddie crossed out of the line, but she kept going and she made that touchdown. And Sasha is very upset with her for cheating, so she grabs the football and throws it at Maddie's stomach.
You get like a whipper too.
So you ladies want to come up and I'll help facilitate. So I would do this separately, but I would say, Maddie, do you feel comfortable having a restorative conversation with Sasha and I to repair your relationship with what happened at recess? Yeah. Okay. Sasha, do you feel comfortable talking it out with Maddie?
I just think she's a cheater. I don't know if I'm ready yet. Yes,
you
we're
are.
ready.
So are you ready to resolve the problem, Sasha?
Okay, I think I can do that.
Okay, cool. And you always want to make sure they're ready to be respectful. If they're not, you just say, let's try this another day, or this isn't working. Because if they're not ready to be respectful, it's not going to go very well. So let's go through, there's the 4 questions. What happened? Who all is affected by this? What responsibility can you take? Like, what mistake did you make? And how are we gonna fix this? So everyone gets a turn to talk, and we're not going to interrupt each other. And I would have like a talking piece, but I don't. So who wants to go first if that happens? Maddie.
I got the football and I ran and I made a touchdown, and I didn't know, but I went over the line by accident. I only noticed right at the very end.
Okay.
And I kept running because I was excited.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for admitting that, Maddie. That takes a lot of courage to admit that maybe you messed up or might have cheated a little bit. Sasha, what happened in your eyes?
Maddie was cheating, and it's not fair to everybody because then they got a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so,
What happened to you? How did that happen?
well, I decided I could teach her a lesson by throwing the football at her stomach.
Yeah. And how did that make you feel, Maddie?
Sad and angry.
Yeah. I bet it hurt too, your stomach. Sasha, how did that feel that you, after you hurt Maddie, how did that feel to you?
I felt bad that I hurt her.
Yeah. Because I know you don't want to hurt your friend. So let's go to number 2. Who all was affected by this? Who wants to answer first?
I was, because the football hurt, but then also I felt Sasha made me feel really bad about cheating when it was not even really on purpose.
Right.
Only a little bit at the end.
Did it affect your team at all? Your flag football team?
Yeah, because we try hard at practice to clean plays and I messed it up.
Yeah. How about you, Sasha?
I think that our team was affected because we try really hard to have integrity.
Yeah.
Integrity.
And also, we'll be contacting parents, so that affects them too, right?
Why do we have to contact the parents?
Dad's gonna be so mad.
I'm gonna get in trouble now.
So what responsibility can you take here? What mistakes did you make?
I got upset and I hurt my friend, and instead I could have dealt with it better with my emotions.
Wow, awesome.
I could have said sorry for going out of bounds when it happened instead of celebrating my touchdown.
Right, yeah. So how are we going to fix this? What's the solution?
You want me to throw you the football again? You can catch it this time and make a different touchdown?
Yeah.
What do you think is a good solution, Maddie? Do you want to hear anything from Sasha?
Yeah, if you notice that I went out of bounds, you could just tell me.
Instead of throwing a football at you?
Yeah.
I think it's a great solution. What do you think, Sasha?
Well, I guess it's an okay solution because she thought of it and all, but how does that help me with my anger?
We'll meet later. All right, awesome job.
Thank you.
So that took like 3 minutes. I kind of brushed, but it took 3 minutes, and they both admitted their mistakes, and it was resolved. Sometimes they can get more confusing than that. For example, when I was coaching youth mountain biking, there were two twins that did not get along with a boy, and they just kept like, "You suck at biking," just kind of nitpicking each other. And one was like, "I'm gonna beat you up," and I'm just like, "Hey guys, just give each other space for the rest of the time." But then we're at the bike park, and my junior coach we'd just gotten there. He did like a big jump on the beginner row, and on the berm, he just wham, knocked himself out. So I'm dealing with this emergency. He comes to right away. But while I'm dealing with this and calling parents and Allie and stuff, these boys, one of the twins and the other boy get in a fight. And then the other twin gets in, and so then the other junior coaches have to break it up. So in that case, I told them, like, I'm gonna talk to your parents, we're gonna have a conversation about this at the beginning of next practice. And it went really well, and they're planning a play date by the end of the next practice. So sometimes you might want to do a restorative conversation with a coach and an athlete. So let's say like this athlete keeps on not listening, like you're like, hey guys, wait at this sign, don't go down the next run, wait for everyone. And they don't listen and they just keep on going. And they do stuff like that a lot, where they're like, I don't care what you say, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So in there is a script to have with this, with the athlete. So first you start, polite and soft, and you give them a positive message, like, I'm so glad you're in my group, you have such great energy, you're such a great skier. You start with a compliment, and then you're like, and then you ask them, what do you like about being in this group? So just start off with connection, and then ask them, what's not working for you? And see what they say. And then you say, instead of saying like, you always start with, I noticed that when I asked you guys to stop and wait, you keep going, and then we can't find you, and it, the group is getting, it's not staying together, it's wasting our time, and then say, how can I help you with this? Instead of saying like, how are you going to stop doing this? Instead of them feeling blamed, you're like, I want to help you, how are we going to help figure this out? And then they're like, well, I should listen and just wait where you tell me to wait. But then it shows them like, I really care about you, I care about this, and we're going to address this right now so that it can stop now. And you can always ask parents to get involved if it doesn't go so well. So we're going to practice a restorative conversation. So everyone has a number, and that is the scenario that you're going to practice in a group. Where should we?
So 1's over here, 2's back there, 3's there, 4's there, 5's right in the middle.
And Blair's going to give you a scenario, and you're going to go through the 4 questions.
I want to get up. Need extra time? I thought you were 5.
That was Emmy worthy.
Only the best get stuck together, except 2 times in a row. Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, red, team red. Team red. Where's orange go? What's up?
Who asked the scenario? Okay. So Dave's going to read it, and you guys are going to choose who acts it out.
I got a little confused. Harry likes when he's cut. If he doesn't get the John. Harry tells him, man, don't be such a... John. I don't care. So how does it work?
We're restoring conversation. We're going to record every single on the list.
what happened? How are you doing?
He's the one who cusses. Well, I'm getting in his face and telling her not to cuss, which is not a good thing. Oh, all right.
How are you feeling about it?
Just don't understand why he gets so excited when you go ahead and miss your turn. Just really, I just want to get it like.
Again, I think that's like my kids have really good each other. I often don't perform probably as well. But yeah, I think so, right?
Everybody knows that.
How do we fix it?
And if you need it, I'll
It's not, I think these are all pretty simple. Yeah. But if
Did you guys try your stereo out?
No, we're all
Oh. Or you can just talk about what it is. It's just the process of being comfortable answering.
The unfortunate thing is that John. Right here, he's really loud. Terrible. No, I can't hear it.
I had mine wearing is with a farm club director at you instead of myself. So that makes me sad.
That's a separate.
come up with another word. Frustration, like Alaska.
Yeah, maybe that's right. Why this one easy? Am I getting
Some kids here swearing all the time.
I think why
When you have the restorative with the victim or like and the person saying these things to them, and it's a safe environment, then the person who's being insulted can say how it makes them feel. It makes them not want to be there. You know, like, and when that kid that's insulting sees that, you know, because it's, you try to make it like it's an off conversation where there's not other kids listening. It, hopefully they see like, oh, maybe it's really affecting this kid. He doesn't want to even come to practice because of me. And so hopefully seeing that helps them connect on a human level. Like, oh, my negative behavior is really affecting this person. And if that doesn't work, then you definitely get nervous. This kid is not lying. to make them. Because the teammate.
Parents involved that don't have this.
Right, yeah, totally. Yeah, and
Now you're trying to go down one street. And
Right.
They hijack.
Right, yeah. And, but usually, these do work if it's like, everyone feels safe, they're ready to talk, and they connect and see how their behavior, they usually. Most of the time. There's been a few times where it's not worked with, and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna agree not to be friends.
When I say winter, you say storm. Winter. Winter. When I say winter, you say storm. Winter. Winter. All right, you can stay where you are, or you can just come back, because we're gonna do another connection circle. There's no question where it came from. So one group had a great question. Do you guys want to come back in?
The snow was a lot better than we had.
So one group had a really great question. Their scenario was this one kid keeps insulting this other kid, like saying like, oh, your tricks suck. You can't do a 360. Stop being such a bee. And they're like, well, what do you do if they don't stop doing that? And the hopes of taking the time out for a private conversation and these two to see each other on a human level, like the person that keeps being insulted can, they would probably say something like, well, yeah, it does make me feel bad about myself. And sometimes I don't want to come to practice if you're there. And hearing that, the other kid who keeps insulting him, hearing that, that's the hope, is that that's where the power is. That's where the restoration is that they're like, oh, me being a jerk and saying these things is really affecting this girl. If that doesn't work, and I was like, you can always get parents involved and let them know, but one person was like, well, what if parents do the punitive discipline? Isn't that counteracting? But it's good for parents to know, because what if this kid is having other issues and might need to see a counselor or a therapist, like that? There's other issues of why he's being mean to people. So if the restorative doesn't work, then there's something else deeper going on. Did anyone else have any questions after they did that? Like, how does this work? Anything like that? Cool. So back to the story where the girl said, your mama, and the other girl slapped her. So we did a restorative conversation, and it went really well. There was also racism part of it. The girl that got slapped a few days before said, go back to Mexico. So we talked about that. And what I did right there is I was like, these girls, there's actually 3 girls involved. These white girls don't understand where this girl is coming from. So I pulled out some get to know you questions, and the girl that did come from Mexico, I asked her to share how hard was it, how hard is it learning a second language, being in a school that you don't know the language, and just connecting on that human level. The white girls were, and they stopped that behavior right there. And then a couple days later, they're like, yeah, we ate lunch with her today. We sat at lunch together. I was like, whoa. So it really does work if those people are ready to connect on that level. So I wanted to go over connection circles. So the purpose is to build and strengthen and connect each other, kind of like I told you, a lot of classroom teachers start the morning like this. This is great for team building at the beginning. And anytime you want your athletes to connect on a certain topic or issue. So during mountain biking, I had girls and boys. They were like second graders. And we were doing obstacles, building obstacles you go over. And the girls were building their own, and the boys were building their own. And every time the girls did one and went over it, the boys were like, that's so easy. And they would say, like, anyone can do that. And I didn't notice. And then one of the girls came over to me and said, like, they keep on telling us that this is easy, and they keep putting down our obstacles. And I was like, oh yeah, we should stop for a second. All right, everyone come here, circle up. I usually just do 2 questions. And I say, everyone tell me, how does it make you feel when you try something new? And someone goes, that's so easy. So everyone went around and said how it made them feel when someone said that. And usually it's like, it makes me feel bad, it makes me sad, it makes me feel like I'm not a good biker. And just hearing, everyone hearing that, especially the ones that kept saying, like, that's so easy. They're like, oh. So my comment is making people feel bad. They didn't even know that it was making me feel bad. But then once they heard it, and then I said, what would you like to hear from people if you do a new trick or try something new? And they'd be like, I'd like to hear good job, or well done, or awesome. And after that, I only heard positive comments from the kiddos, because they knew that that was what was important. And I took the time to stop and say, no, this is what is expected. This is how we respect and treat each other. So the rules I tell kiddos, well, right there, I didn't even have to tell them the rules. This group of like 5 kids. But listen with respect, speak openly and honestly, respect each other's privacy. So if someone shares something like, my parents are going through a divorce, don't go, and that stays there. Don't go and share it to other people. And only the person with the talking piece talks. And it always helps if you share first and be vulnerable. And then they know, oh, that's how I'm supposed to answer. That's an example of, like I said, when someone tells me that's so easy, that makes me feel like, it puts me down. It makes me feel like I'm not good at this. And so then that gives them an example of what it should sound like. So in there I put examples of connection prompts for your kiddos, like team building. Did I put that in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And then examples of problem solving, like how does it make you feel when someone laughs at you when you fall, when you try a new jump? How does it make you feel? Some kids might be like, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. But most kids hopefully will be honest, especially if you share first. What could you do when the coach asks you to actually stop at the sign like you're supposed to? What is one way to, like, and what can you do to help? And with these circles, I just do like 1 or 2 questions, and then you're done. So you guys, oh yeah, I already shared that one. Of the problem solving circle of saying like, that's so easy. So the last thing, you're gonna get back into your groups and you're gonna answer one at a time. How do you think restorative practices could possibly benefit your team? How do you think that you will use restorative practices as a coach, whether it's a restorative conversation or a connection circle or problem solving? And if time, share a time when you think a restorative practice would have helped a past problem you had as a coach. But before we break up again, do you have any questions for me? And you can always ask me afterwards if you don't like talking in front of a group of people. Yeah?
I just thought of it, you said they have to get past that disrespect.
Right.
What if you can't get past that?
Yeah. So between like a coach and an athlete?
I don't know, it just seemed like an impasse that
Yeah.
possibly bigger. I know one between like my brother and I are probably.
Yeah, you would want a mediator in that situation. But once someone hears how their behavior is negatively affecting you, they usually change. Or like the last question is, how can we fix this? What's the solution? And the kids can share like, well, the solution is when you say those things, it makes me feel that way, so I want you to stop saying those things. Or I want you, like, it's a chance for everyone in each role to share like what they need in that situation. Like, I need you to stop pushing me off the chairlift when we get off. Like, it's a chance to say what you need in that situation.
So you said just wait until that respect happens, but what you're saying is maybe have a dialogue interim, and that dialogue will alleviate and make them better.
Yeah, if
So it's not just a hold and wait pattern, it's like.
yeah, I would like, when those boys were telling the girls this is so easy, I immediately stopped. It took less than 5 minutes to go around and say that. And then from then on, it was positive. Now these were second graders. They usually respond really well. Teenagers, I understand it is harder, and some kids are like, I didn't do anything wrong. So at that moment, it's not going to be effective if they're like, I didn't do anything wrong. But trying to have those private conversations. Maybe it's just that one kid and this other kid, trying to have those conversations. But a lot of times when parents do get involved, like it's a chronic thing, things do change because they're like, oh, they're holding me accountable. Like, things change when their parents are held accountable. And it's up to the parents what punishment or, conversations that they have.
So it might be at the point where you elevate it to parent.
Right, yeah, and, yeah, if it's not stopping, I would, definitely do that, so that parents can hold them accountable also. Any other questions? Yeah.
So usually when you're trying to kid, I'm usually for them sit down in class. So when you bring the parents in, the
Right.
parents doesn't want to see that for them because for them it's normal. What do you do?
Right. Sometimes we get Blair or. No, I forgot to tell you, Brian, where's Brian? Is he in here? There he is. Brian is trained in restorative practices also. And so go to Brian. But he has a lot of experience, so he can help navigate that with you if you have questions of how should we do this, how should we make it more restorative? Because that's the power of having these conversations. Hopefully we'll change the behavior. Did you have a question?
I had one.
Yeah.
Are there unique scenarios where you think like discipline is necessary or more beneficial than restorative justice in the moment?
Right. Yeah, I guess in the moment you're like where maybe kids need to be separated. But yeah, I'm not saying like never discipline a child, but I'm trying to think of an example.
They're unsafe, right?
Yeah, if they're being unsafe,
Uh-huh.
I'm not opposed to like sitting a kid out
Okay.
if they're being unsafe. That would be like the most
Yeah.
drastic, like if they're not being safe. One time a kid, I don't know if you know this story, a kid started riding his bike away from me. We're at the basis from group. Riding away from me because he didn't want to continue on with the group, and the group had been waiting for 20 minutes for us because I kept trying to coerce him in. And he started riding his bike away from me. So I called his dad and I said, come pick up your child, he's not being safe. So there's drastic situations like that. But yeah, I'm not against any discipline. But hopefully in the smaller things that this
Right.
would help.
But
Totally.
you will do a story conversation after.
After the getting picked up,
So you will, so at that example, you might do next time you see the.
yeah, totally.
Try to go to the kids.
Yeah, totally. And it could be a group one too, like, hey, how can we help this kid? How can we encourage this kiddo to stay with our group and encourage him to be a better biker? And so. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, Brian?
Just kind of weaving a couple things together, I think, like connection circles, especially this time of the season, can be used to set like team agreements.
I love it,
You
yeah.
pre-discuss a lot of the things you've seen as a coach with your kids,
Yeah.
and there might be just outright consequences, but if the team decides, like, hey, if we're late, if you're late, how does that affect
Yeah.
the team? And like have those discussions proactively, and then get the team engaged in, okay, so if you're late more than once or twice, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And so you can escalate it maybe to like consequences, but the team's agreed on those consequences, and it's
Yeah.
not punitive, it's,
Right.
we've already gone through that conversation and set some team, if the team has set those boundaries for each other, then the consequence is restored by virtue of
Yeah,
the team.
because they've all agreed on it. Yeah, I love
From
that.
the start.
Yeah,
And
setting
that's-
up.
That also can be effective with the parents, like, hey, this is the team's rules, not mine. And obviously there's different age appropriateness there, but, and then I also will emphasize what you said, we definitely, like, this is a great team of staff, and so use your head coaches, use your program directors, use Dave and Blair and myself and John, and, if it does need to be elevated, go up the food chain, Ben and Tyler used an example of U16s being late and they didn't know they were gonna have to ride on a chair with Tyler. and that could be real effective.
Yeah.
To go up the food chain,
Totally.
so, and.
Yeah, no, I love that. And yeah, setting the expectations ahead of time so that everyone knows. Yeah. How about, since we are almost out of time, just answer 1, 2, and 3 with whoever's next to you. one thing I did want to say is almost every student in the SEMO Spring School District, I know that not all of our athletes are in the SEMO Spring School District, they've done this stuff. They've done restorative conversations, they've done connection circles, they've done problem-solving circles, so they know the drill. Some of them might be able to lead them for you. So they're familiar with this if they're in the school district. And one more thing, if you do a connection circle or a team building circle, write down what they said or repeat. Like, I'm hearing that you don't like it when people don't listen to the coach or whatever it is, just to reiterate, like, this is what I'm hearing all of you say, so that they're like, yep, this is a group contribution. So that's what it is. It's like, give it to the group. Like, this is the problem. How are you going to solve it? So thanks for coming out tonight, guys. It was great to see you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me afterwards. If you want anything electronically, let me know and I can email it to you.
Thank you.